Hi everyone, welcome. I'm Rachel with Artisans of Nations, a storytelling platform dedicated to elevating Indigenous voices through arts and culture. We're here filming live artist talks at the 5th Annual Msvskoke Art Market in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We're so grateful to produce these artist talks in partnership with Muscogee Nation. And for our next conversation, I have the privilege of welcoming our next guest, Leslie Deer. She is a Muscogee and Italian apparel designer and artist whose work is rooted in the motifs of her Muscogee people and ancestors. She has spent over 10 years building her fashion line, applying traditional Muscogee designs to contemporary women's wear. Her work has been acquired by collectors ranging from the Smithsonian National Museum of the American Indian to authors, activists, and artists. Welcome, Leslie. Thanks so much for being here with us.
Hi, thank you for inviting me.
To begin, please tell us, how did you start as a fashion designer? Did you have any inspirations or any epiphanies, aha moments? What is your own origin story as a fashion designer?
Yeah, it's kind of a long and twisting road, but honestly, I'm a third generation sewer. My grandmother used to sew for her family. My mother used to sew my traditional clothes when I was young. And honestly, my mother was a big inspiration. She was just very fashionable, loved to wear flashy, just glamorous looking clothes. And I was always inspired by her. So growing up, I wanted to wear all these different kind of things that I didn't see everywhere. And I would sketch things out and ask her to make them for me. And then I went through sewing class in high school and hated sewing and said, I'm never going to sew again. But I finally did come to sew out of necessity.
Tell us about your process. Walk us through from beginning to end. How even do you come up with your designs? What are you thinking about? What's going on in your thought process?
Yeah, so along the way, I started making my own dance regalia, and that's how I became acquainted with sewing again. I came back to it just because I needed to make my own dance apparel. And so starting to do that, I started to research our own ancestral designs, our tribal motifs. And I realized that they were something that I hadn't really seen anywhere before. I grew up in an urban area away from Oklahoma, and I had not seen our tribal designs. And I think a lot of people are familiar with like what Plains artwork looks like, what Southwest artwork looks like, but not a lot of people are acquainted with Southeastern iconography and motifs. And so when I started to see them, I just thought they were incredibly amazing. And it made me sad to think that no one ever sees this, no one knows what this is. And I just thought over time it could be forgotten. And no one will ever be aware of it. And so I decided that I wanted to try and understand it and find some of it that I could use in a respectful and responsible way. And so I started to do some research in our motifs. And that's really what kind of motivated me to work on my apparel design, just to share these motifs. First of all, with our own community, and then second of all, with a broader audience, just so that people could be more acquainted with our tribe.
Yeah, that's really important, and definitely a story and a part of history, especially as a Muscogee person, of sharing your art and your culture and your history to those both locally and abroad. Can you tell us, for someone who is unfamiliar with Southeastern Indigenous art or even the iconography of it, what would you hope that individual walks away with, or maybe is more curious about after seeing your pieces?
Yeah, I would like them to know that, we originated in the southeastern part of what we now call the United States. And our ancestors were what is known as the mound builder culture. And we had a lot of beautiful artistry and design work. A lot of what was there was destroyed or looted a long time ago. But what remains is a lot of pottery, and sometimes, in some cases, beadwork in the form of bandolier bags after contact. And we were introduced to beads. We had beadwork and things like that on bandolier bags. And so that is a lot of what inspires me to do what we do. But I would like for people to know that, we had our unique style. all of our motifs and iconography had a representation, had a meaning, had a communication or a story associated with it, is telling you information if you know how to read it. But I would hope that they would want to learn more about our ancestors, about our culture, and how our homelands are still important to us today.
Let's dig into a little bit more about that. You have this beautiful piece here with you. Tell us about it, the designs, the motif, even on the sleeves. Walk us through from top to bottom and the material.
Yeah, so there is a design that I like to use that is called a sun circle, and it can be several concentric circles or as small as just a circle with the spikes on the outer side of them, representing the sun. But there are inner circles to it that can represent our community, in the world around us. The sun, we can say the creator sometimes. So this sun circle is kind of modified. It's got the outer circle with the spikes, and then center inner circle, and the circle close up on the neck on this one is more of like a spiral motif, a linear design that we call a wind design. It is one form of a wind design. There are several different ways to represent it, but that is one of the ways. And because I used to be a dancer and do my own beadwork, when I had some downtime during COVID, I decided to bead a garment, and this is it. So I pulled out some of my old tri-cut beads.
Wow.
and went to work, 2-needle applique. And I just thought it was a fun way to represent, something that meant a lot to me, that I thought was really beautiful, and to express it in beads, because I love lots of saturated bright colors. So I pulled out all my beads and came up with the color combination of, what is this, like lime green, orange, red, and periwinkle blue.
Oh, it's absolutely stunning. I think, those color choices are so beautiful, and they do pair well with each other, even though by verbally saying them, you're like, how does that really match? But on this, it's absolutely stunning. And the beadwork, common question, how long did that take?
Yeah, I honestly, I don't know how many hours. I'd start on it and work on it a little bit, and then I put it away, and I actually put it up for almost a year because I didn't finish it during my downtime. And so it sat stored away for quite a while, and then I decided to pull it out and finish it. So I did not really write down my hours like I do a lot of times and keep track of it, but I would have to say probably like 40 to 60 hours to construct and bead the whole dress.
Wow. And what type of material is the dress?
This dress is 100% wool crepe. I really like to work with natural fibers as much as I can. It's a lot more convenient and a lot faster to work with synthetic fibers at times, because now I do a lot of printing on fabric. I used to do everything either by satin applique, which is very involved in drawing designs, tracing them on fabric, cutting them out by hand, and then applying them to the garment, and then stitching them with a machine. So it became so time consuming, I could not produce enough inventory to go to art markets, so I started printing fabric. But this one, it was a lot of fun to make, I'll say that.
Oh, that's great. And that's what it's about, right? Having fun. Yeah. I think even on that line, is there a piece that you had the most fun with, or one that's like most memorable to you that you've made throughout the years that you could share with us?
Yeah, there was one when I first got out of apparel design school and I was going to start designing garments. I applied to Santa Fe Indian Market and I got accepted. So I was super excited. I was like, I got to make something really amazing to go to Santa Fe Indian Market. So I started, looking at our motifs and looking at bandolier bags. And I was inspired by a particular bandolier bag. And I decided to make a dress that kind of reminded me of the front of a bandolier bag. So the bodice of the dress is kind of in a V shape. And if you've ever seen our Southeast bandolier bags, the top that folds over the front is kind of in a long V shape. And so the dress is shaped, it has that kind of a shape to the front of it, and it's beaded with some of our motifs. And I collected a lot of antique beads, glass beads to bead with, and a lot of antique colors that you can't find real commonly today. And the back of the dress has two on each side, the left and right side of the back bodice, it has a curved piece that represents the strap of the bandolier bag, and each side of that is beaded with motifs as well. So I made that out of wool broadcloth, again referencing the bandolier bags that were usually made out of wool. And so it was just very memorable because I loved the motifs that were on the bag that I used for inspiration. And I just loved beading those designs. And I sat up. I would get up every day at 6 a.m.
Wow.
And on the east side of our house, we had a big window. And I would go sit in front of that window every day facing the morning sunshine because I just loved the bright light. And I would sit there and bead from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day to try and get this dress done for Santa Fe Indian Market. So I spent so much time working, getting ready for Santa Fe that I missed the deadline to submit it for the competition.
Oh, no.
I was so disappointed. And I had to hang on to the dress for a while, but it eventually ended up, it's the dress that's in the permanent collection of the Smithsonian National Museum of the American Indians. So it's very memorable for very many reasons because it was one of the first things I did. I really loved the iconography on it, and because of where it landed, I'm just super excited that it's going to be preserved for a long time.
Wow, that's really special. Thank you for sharing that story and that process. Very meaningful too, of spending not only all those hours, but even just so much of your heart and your creativity being poured into that one piece. I'm curious, always asking artists, especially those who have spent many more years as an established artist in their line of work, looking back at where you were and where you are now and where you're headed or where you would like to go. What would you say to your former self and your future self as an artist?
Oh my gosh. See, now that's one of those questions, Rachel, where I was like, don't throw me in. Like,
honestly, it just came to me. So we're going to have to roll with it. And I know you'll do great.
So to where I was, I think I would say just keep going and don't give up. It's a lot of hard, long hours. And sometimes you're just like, why am I doing this? I just want to quit. I've been doing this. This is taking so long, and I'm never going to get it finished. And, but just keep going because it's all worth it in the end. And to my future self, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get there.
What is there? Do you have like any aspirations?
I just want to be able to share my work more with my community, to maybe inspire those coming up behind me, to help them to get where they want to go, and to be just comfortable with what I do and not have daily stresses in my life, like how am I going to pay bills and how am I going to meet these deadlines, and just to be comfortable and be able to be creative.
Yeah, that's really important and very valid too for many artists who are living, working artists, as this is their full-time line of work and career, thinking of not only the creative part, but also, the business part, which is hard to juggle at times. How have you been able to juggle that, or even to maybe get over some hurdles?
It's just like an everyday thing, and you just have to find creative ways. If you really want to do it, you really believe in it, you just have to find a way to get to where you want to go. And sometimes it's just taking it one day at a time, so I just try to be as positive as I can be and try to look on the good side of things and imagine where I'm going, and hopefully I will be there soon. But you were talking about my future self too, and I just thought of this too as we're talking. But in the beginning, I did have some goals when I got out of apparel design school, and one goal was that I wanted to go to Santa Fe Indian Market, and I wanted to win an award. And to me, that's like, okay, that's a lifetime goal, because that's like, you just don't show up and win an award. You got to build, your skill level and get to a level where you're known and this kind of thing. And so that was one of my goals, to win an award at Santa Fe Indian Market. And another goal was actually to have something in the Smithsonian National Museum of the American Indian. So the first year I went to Santa Fe, I missed entering the competition. The second year I went, I entered a dress and I won first place in Best of Division. So I reached that goal.
Wow.
And actually, in 2016, the same year I made that bandolier dress, the Smithsonian purchased it. So I achieved both those goals like within
oh my gosh,
a year and a half, 2 years of graduating from my apparel design school. So after that, I was like, I don't know what to want next, but because I really felt like those were things that were way off, way out, talking about future. That would have been my future, but it's already been accomplished. So I'm like, I don't know what's next.
the unknown, and I think, yeah, that could be something that is full of surprises for you, and I wish all the best for you. And it's so beautiful to hear a little bit about your story as a Muscogee woman who is adding your people's motifs and your stories and your culture into, also known as wearable art. What does that mean for you as a Muscogee woman?
I think that there's a lot of pride in that, sharing our culture with people outside of our own community, and maybe creating a better understanding of our tribe and our artwork. So I think that there's a lot of pride in having an opportunity to do that and trying to do it in a respectful way, and try to be a good steward of our culture and our ancestral designs. Not just use them, to make profit, but to share and to create a better understanding and awareness of our tribe and our artwork.
That's beautiful. I want to move us into this market weekend specifically, and last night there was an Indigenous fashion show, which you were a part of. How was that for you? And you had such amazing pieces on models last night. So tell us what your thought process was. How did that feel for you? And even just the pride that came out of that. What was that like?
It's a lot of fun to be able to put your work on a stage and in front of an audience. And it was really exciting on that level. It's fun to design and create new pieces, one-of-a-kind pieces. And it's also really a great opportunity to invite in other community. My models are from other communities.
Oh, that's
and to
great.
have them come and be a part of what we're doing. It really is awesome. They love what they do, the models, and they're excited to be there. I'm excited to see my clothes on humans and not on just, body forms or hangers. And so it really is a wonderful opportunity. And I believe we had 16 designers last night, from
Wow.
all different tribal nations. And it was so fun to see all of the models lined up. I think we had 64 models.
Wow.
And you could just see each designer's aesthetic, and you could see the different styles, and you could tell, just by looking at them lined up, you could see where one designer's clothes started and ended, and the next designer started, because they were all so unique and different. But it was really beautiful to see. And we also, I have to say, have the most amazing DJ ever that really set the tone, with the music, and got everybody in the best mood. I think everybody in the audience was really enjoying the music and getting into everything. And backstage, all the models and designers, we were all dancing and singing, like lip syncing back there. So it was really quite a bit of fun. It was a wonderful experience, and probably one of the most enjoyable fashion shows I've ever been to, if not the most.
It was absolutely remarkable too to be in that room.
Right? I'm not even making it up. It was awesome. The energy in there.
Have you been a part of other fashion shows?
Yeah, I have. I actually don't do a whole lot of them, and not that I don't want to. I don't know. But I just, for whatever reason, I haven't done a lot. I've done enough of them, but it's not just like, oh, I have fashion show after fashion show after fashion show. So it's always an enjoyable experience, and always a good time to do fashion for the public.
Before we wrap up, do you have any last thoughts or comments that you want to share with our audience?
Yeah, I just want to say for other artists, you should come check out Muscogee Art Market. It's awesome, and we're growing so big. This is our 5th year, and we are just full to the walls with artists, and it's amazing. But I just would encourage other people, if you are not familiar with Muscogee Nation or our history, look into it a little bit, learn a little bit about us, because I feel like some regions of the quote unquote United States is fairly well known and understood, but other regions kind of don't get as much attention. And so there may not be a lot of people that know about our history, our homelands in Georgia and Alabama, or how we came to be in Oklahoma. So take a look into that.
And where can our audience find you? How can they contact you if they want to learn more or purchase a piece?
You can reach me. You can see my work on my website. It's ladeerapparel.com. And the LA is just my first and middle initial.
Oh, great.
And then I'm also on Instagram, la.deer.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, do you have a question, Colleen?
What are your plans to expand as far as getting more people to help you with the sewing and all of that? You're obviously designing, doing the beadwork, you're doing everything. And I just think, wow, it'd be so great to be able to get more out there for more people to be able to discover your beautiful art.
Yes, thank you. You know, it's true that I am the entire manufacturing division myself. I do everything, but I do need to, in order to grow, I need to find help because I have to sleep. Sometimes I can't do all hours of the day. So I have tried to look for help, but it seems like in this day and age, a lot of times you can't find people that just want to sit at a sewing machine and assemble garments for you all day. So I have reached out to a manufacturer locally here in the United States that will do low minimums for me because I really want to be as sustainable as possible. I try to be mindful of my carbon footprint. I don't want to have things done offshore, or I don't want to have them shipped from country to country to be dyed or cut or, processed in different ways. So I have found someone local. I always want to try and work with more natural fibers and fabrics. To start off, it was easy and accessible and convenient to use synthetic fibers, but I'm trying to really move towards more natural fibers and work with people locally and have a manufacturer just produce them for me to give me some of my time back so I can go back to being creative.
That's great. Great questions. I am so honored to have you here as our guest, and thank you again for your time and your stories and sharing about your art with us. Really appreciate you. Keep sharing your stories and keep creating. It's really meaningful.
Thank you so much, Rachel. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you again for listening and joining our conversation here at the 5th Annual Msvskoke Art Market. You can find Artisans of Nations online and on Instagram. You can listen to our podcasts on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple channels at Artisans of Nations. It's been such an honor to be a part of this weekend. Thank you again to our listeners. Thank you to Muscogee Nation. And thank you to the artists who have shared their stories, their wisdom, and art with us.